Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's not your average Josh back here for another movie review, and today I am reviewing the movie A Man Called Otto, the new movie starring Tom Hanks. And before I even get started in this review, I just want to say thanks to anybody who's watching this right now. Thanks to anybody who supports this channel. If you want to support this channel, you can give a like, leave a comment below. If you have anything, if you agree or disagree with anything I say, with any of these movies that I review, I do appreciate that. You can also subscribe to this channel at any time. If this is your first time watching this, please click that subscribe button. I appreciate that a lot. You can also follow me on TikTok. You can add me on Snapchat, where I will post content similar to this, but for the most part, my content will live here on this YouTube channel, Not Your Average Josh. So I do appreciate, again, all the support that any of you do give me. But let's get into A Man Called Otto. Otto is a grump who's given up on life following the loss of his wife and wants to end it all. When a young family moves in nearby, he meets his match in a quick-witted Marisol, leading to a friendship that will turn his world around. Now, I was a little late going to see this movie. This movie came out about a week or so before I was actually able to go see it. I had been sick and just had a lot going on. I wasn't really anticipating this movie that much. Just seeing the trailers that I did see, it looked interesting. Seeing Tom Hanks back in a movie that's not, some huge blockbuster or anything, it's cool to still see him working in movies like this. And I was really interested on just the premise of a man who is older, dealing with life and also death. I thought the way this movie dealt with death head on was very, a little surprising to me, and I really appreciated that. One of the things I really did appreciate the most about this movie. Besides Tom Hanks, there really isn't anyone of any major note in this movie. As I said, you have Tom Hanks playing Otto. You have Mac Beta playing Malcolm, who is this transgender kid who Tom Hanks' character Otto gets to know, and they have a really good little few scenes with them. You have Cameron Britton here as Jimmy, who is kind of this comedic character, I guess you'd say. I was a little bit mixed on his character overall. He's kind of just he's this man who's jogging around the neighborhood where Tom Hanks lives in, and he does all these little funny ways of jogging, like he jogs in this slow motion way, and I don't know, some of it didn't quite work for me in terms of the humor. I got what they were going for. I liked the emotional aspects that his character added to Tom Hanks overall, to Otto overall. But overall, Jimmy was just there. He was just kind of just there. You have Juanita Jennings and Peter Lawson Jones as Anita and Ruben, who are in this movie. They're a couple that has been friends with Otto for a long time. Otto and his wife, who actually had passed away before the events of this movie take place due to cancer, and they had been longtime friends of the neighborhood, and they really do a good job, I think, of dealing with their relationship throughout this movie in a fairly serious way. That's one thing I was really surprised about. One of the main themes I'll probably bring up a few times during this review is they really dealt with the themes of death and loss, and in a very real way, which I didn't really quite expect. I was really happy to see this movie was rated PG-13. Going into it, the fact that from the trailer I really had gotten this this feeling that they were going to deal with death a lot. So I really think that they just did a really good job. With such a sensitive subject, sometimes you can come off as being insensitive and, harsh, but I feel like they really dealt with it well in this movie. And that's really one of the main parts that I really enjoyed or appreciated the most about this movie. As I already mentioned, you have Mariana Trevino as Marisol and Manuel Garcia Rulfo, I believe that's how you say his name, as Tommy. They're this couple that just moved in. They have 2 daughters, and they really are the catalyst in this movie for changing Tom Hanks' character Otto. Really for the first half of this movie, and I'd say even a little further than that, really his character is just in the depths of this depression, and really not even necessarily just a full-on depression, but just a kind of a bleh. He walks around his neighborhood every day. That's all he really does. And just kind of basically scouts the neighborhood for all things that annoy him, things that people do, like driving on the grass or just doing things like putting their trash in the wrong area. I thought it was really fun playing with these different elements with Tom Hanks. He did a really good job of really just becoming this character Otto, and I thought they really had a little bit of fun with that. At the beginning of this movie, he has a job. He works at a warehouse or something, and they basically retires at the beginning of this movie, and that really just sets the table, and you really see how bad off he is. And one of the things I was really surprised about is this movie, as I already said, it deals with death a lot and suicide. especially the way they dealt with suicide in this movie, I thought was very poignant. And as I said, it could have been harsh and it could have came off as insensitive, but I thought it was all done actually very well, and it really took me off guard. I mean, there's literal scenes in this movie. I'd say I think 3 times in this movie where you really have Otto trying to take his own life. Like they really don't hide or shy away from that. It's really in your face a little bit about it, and I really appreciated that. It was done very tastefully, I thought. This movie does have a lot of typical tropes and typical story elements take place. You have, you know, as I mentioned, this couple that moves across the street that really starts to change Otto and becomes his new family. And eventually, as the movie goes on, he, you know, near the end, this is, you know, the expected thing happens. He changes and he wants to stick around. This movie does end though pretty, I don't know if sad's the right word, or pretty I guess just real and kind of brutally honest in a way. This movie concludes. I did not expect it to end the way it did. It made sense, and I was happy actually they went the direction they did, because it made the movie feel more realistic and like Otto was a real person, a real guy, and the journey he goes on in totality. I thought it was a nice story that you go on with him. Now, overall, just as a consumer, as someone who loves movies, and just watching this movie overall, I didn't necessarily like it as much as I wanted to. Overall, I don't think I think if I had to just be straight out and give a straight up like thumb up or thumb down recommendation, I would probably give a thumbs down on this movie. The story was really good that you go on. I think it was earned what ends up happening in the end with Otto's character and then the other characters that are involved. I just thought I wasn't as invested as I wanted to be throughout this movie. With all the serious emotional elements that you're dealing with this movie, I really wanted to be more emotionally attached. And as I was watching this movie, I just wasn't as connected as I wanted to be. And there was just some scenes that just didn't work. The humor they used in this movie, for the most part, honestly, didn't really hit with me too well. Maybe it was because of the serious subject matter that was in play for most of this movie, but a lot of the cliche kind of humor that would be in this type of movie, it didn't really necessarily work for me. A lot of the characters, I appreciated them, but I didn't necessarily feel connected to really any of them. Even though they did try to sprinkle humor in throughout this movie, I felt like a lot of this movie just felt kind of flat and was, I wouldn't say boring, maybe just, it just felt really kind of like I was sludging through a lot of the movie, if I'm being honest, and I didn't enjoy it. You know, with the subject matter of this movie, you're not necessarily going to say you enjoyed this movie, you know, like you would a fun movie, I guess you'd say, but I just felt overall I wanted to be more connected with all the characters, including Otto. And there's a good part of this movie that goes back in time and shows Otto's relationship with his wife that had passed away, Sonia. And I didn't really necessarily like any of those scenes. I just wasn't connected to their relationship. We would go back and there would be these cliche moments that happen throughout their lives and Otto's life that, you know, they're really piecing together how he became the person that he is. And I appreciate and like the journey for the most part, but within each scene, I just wasn't connected to the characters. And I didn't buy that these characters loved each other and they found a way. All the stuff that was happening, it just felt like, okay, it's happening. I'm just not connected to it. Like, I'm seeing all the events take place throughout this movie, but especially with the flashbacks with him and his past wife, I wasn't as connected as I wanted to be. And that's really what this movie comes down to for me. I don't necessarily ever really care to see this movie again on my own accord, if I'm being completely honest. It wasn't a bad movie. I just didn't have too much fun with it. With the depressing nature and the sometimes it just felt kind of bogged down. Like, it felt like as I was watching this movie, I was kind of bogged down in where Otto was at, and I don't know, it just, something about it just didn't hit. It just didn't hit with me, and even though he does end up being happier than he was at the beginning of the movie, by the conclusion of this, in a way, it's still, I didn't get that payoff, and I didn't get that emotional pull that I wanted to. So that's really kind of my main thoughts. Not really much more to say on this movie. Tom Hanks did a good job. I think all the actors are doing good at whatever element they're bringing to the story. They all did a really good job. It's just, I just didn't connect with it like I wanted to. And that's really all it comes down to. I would not recommend going out to see it, if I'm being honest. If you are interested in it at all, I would probably just check it out maybe when it comes out on streaming. I would say that I was in a smaller crowd when I went to see this movie, but it was a mostly older crowd, and they were all laughing a little more at some of the humor in the movie. The movie as a whole, I think, resonated with them just overall more than it did with me. And it's not that I didn't understand or I couldn't relate in some ways to Otto, his character. I got where he was at. It was just, like I said, just didn't connect with me like I had hoped it would. I will give A Man Called Otto a 4.5 out of 10. I thought there was some heart with this movie. I think that dealing with death and the suicide like it did, I thought it was done tastefully. It wasn't like there was anything disrespectful going on here. I just personally didn't connect with this story, and that's really what it comes down to. A really good job, though, from Tom Hanks. He wasn't bad. I thought he was better than this, and he wasn't Elvis. I just didn't necessarily like his character much at all in Elvis. If you want to support this channel, leave a like, put a comment down if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, if you love this movie, didn't love this movie, whatever. If you want to leave a comment, that is always much appreciated. If you want to also support, you can subscribe to this channel, Not Your Average Josh. I will post movie reviews on here, TV reviews, all sorts of stuff. With some fairly consistency. I'm trying to still get that down, but you can also follow me on TikTok, add me on Snapchat, where I'll post content similar to this, but most of my content will be here on this YouTube, Not Your Average Josh. So again, if you want to subscribe and support my channel that way, leave a like, comment. Again, that is all appreciated. Just been doing this for a few months. I'm still just trying to be better at just at making my videos and just get better at relaying my my feelings about movies. So I appreciate anyone that supports me. That'll be it for now. I'll be looking for a lot more videos coming up very soon. I will talk to you guys later.